though, and I'm going to be as polite as I can, and I need you to hear what I'm saying. 3 times your horses have come over here this month. I have video proof all 3 times. They have mother. Oh boy. Your horses are going to hurt themselves. They're going to hurt my animals. They're going to hurt me. And so I'm offering you $1,000 to send your horses to a rescue, and you're telling me no. After I've done corral them and I have them loaded and I've let you know that I'm taking them to a rescue, you want them back. You don't want $1,000, you want them back. So I'm telling you that if they come over here again, I'm going to have to take legal or lethal actions against them. Okay, could I shake your hand on that?
You do whatever, please.
You're not going to shake my hand. All right. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I want this on record. I've told you guys a few times before that I'm really proud that at the age of 55, I don't have any enemies in this world. I don't have any enemies in this world. There's no one that I dislike. Now, that's not to say there might be some who don't like me, and I think there's plenty who don't. And I'm afraid that today there's a new person added to that list who's not going to like me very much. And I'm sorry to say that it's my neighbor. I'd like to explain myself, and I do this on behalf of the horses. You guys, don't be so critical. Just be a good listener today, if you don't mind. Just be a good listener. Let me talk, let me vent, and then by all means offer opinions. But just today, be a listener. And let me know your thoughts on this. I want to show you some of the things that happened to Roman in the attack. I know, these are bite marks over here, friends. And he's also gotten marks up and down his legs on both sides. He went through HE double hockey sticks in defending himself. And Rita, his beloved. Look. Do y'all see all of these marks? Look. You see this. And I feel so bad for him. He really showed a lot of chivalry in trying to defend Rita and his ladies. I love him. I love him even more now than before. Over the course of the 2 years that we've owned this beautiful piece of property here, the JL Ranch North, the only issues that we've really had were with our neighbor's horses. He has a couple of stallions, which are breeding age males who have not been fixed. And the only issues that we have had is the insatiable, their appetite to get to our mares, which are our breeding age females. Now guys, you cannot fix a female horse. For anyone who's saying, well, just get your females fixed, it works that way with cats and dogs, but you don't spay a horse. Anywho, the only issues we've had with our neighbor are the fact that we've had his horses, his stallions, come across into our property multiple times. I guess the worst ever was when they got poor Voodoo, which would have been last year. They got to fighting out here back behind the lot, and poor Voodoo come down on top of a T-post. And all of that rearing up and what they do between fence lines, Voodoo ended up getting a T-post stuck, impaled through his neck. It almost cost him his life. It did cost you all, those folks who helped us pay that bill, $16,000 to get him all patched up. But it put him through all kinds of unnecessary pain and suffering, and could have cost him his life. Well, we ended up not feeling safe having the horses here, so we took them all back to Longhorn Luster property. And well, since then we've acquired a few new rescues. We've also moved Rita over, and now we're having issues again. We do have 3 mares in Gemma, Rita, and Val. And these stallions next door are back at it. We've had 3 major incidents here in the last month or so. First time it happened, we had all the horses in this pasture up here. We thought it was our safest pasture because of we have wonderful fencing up here. No barbed wire. It's all panels, very safe. But one of those stallions, the one they call Grandpa, he's the older one, he found his way through the neighbor's fencing over here, walked alongside this other pasture, and then found himself into the little lane up alongside our place. You guys remember that video. Poor Roman took a beating, even through the fence. Roman put himself between Grandpa and the females, and Roman took multiple bite marks all over his side and his back end. What we did to try to fix that problem were 2 things. Number one, we patched up, we used a little piece of cattle panel and patched up that spot that the horse was coming through. And then we also took and we ran electric fencing down along the fence to keep the horse off of our fences. We thought that would work. Come to find out a day later that Grandpa horse, the older stallion, would literally take the electric fencing in his mouth. And no matter what uncomfortableness or whatever pain he felt, he would pull that fencing out of the way, and he still found himself running along this fence line over here, harassing our horses in this pasture here. We decided to go ahead and move our horses off this pasture to give them even more separation. We moved our babies all the way across. You can see them there under the hay barn now. We moved our babies all the way over to our larger 15-acre pasture, and we thought that might give them enough separation to where the horses over here would not be as bothered with that much room in between them. Problem is, at some point, I'm not sure if maybe our mare Rita had come into heat, but Grandpa horse pushed himself through the fencing. There is a gate right over here in the corner. It has a chain, and we also put a Velcro, not a Velcro, but an elastic strap around it. And he pushed himself through, got over here into our pastures, pushed our gate open. We have kind of a faulty latch. You guys know about that. And next thing you know, Rita is running around here in our yard with Grandpa. Once again, Grandpa being the stallion horse next door. I was able to pin Grandpa in the barn there where my truck is at. And you all remember that, how that story ended. Grandpa came out one way or another. And I was able to get Rita back in eventually, but not before Grandpa and Rita took a few runs around. Grandpa took a pretty good tumble right over here. Thank God he was okay. Jamie called animal control on that one. Showed animal control the video of what we had recorded. And at that point, he told her he would make the report. But because I had already returned the horses to their pasture and they were officially not on my land, he couldn't do anything about it besides make the report. However, he did say if the horses come back onto your property and they're causing risk or putting your horses at harm, then by all means, you have every right to handle that any way you deem necessary, especially if they're putting you or your horses at a health risk. Guys, what I'm pretty sure he means by that is I could take lethal action. You all know me. I can't shoot a deer. I don't want to shoot a horse. This weekend, I took Jamie out of town. And while we were gone, we had Uriel watching the property. And Grandpa horse, along with the other younger stallion, make their way over to this fence line over here. And you can see the barbed wire is stretched out a bit here in the corner, and they both made their way in. They worked themselves out around back behind the barn. The horses worked themselves around as close as they could to our horse pasture, and at some point they all found themselves right there at the gate to our lot. There's a couple of gates over here. They begin to push on, trying to get in there to our mares. Our mares, who I'm sure were enjoying the attention, and then of course our geldings, who were trying to get the stallions out of here and defend the mares, got to pushing and shoving on these gates and popped one of them open. At that point, I can't think of a better expression to use than all hell broke loose. You had horses coming into our pastures who did not belong there, intermingling with our horses on our property. You had Roman, who took the brunt of the beatdown. He has bite marks and scrapes and scratches all up and down his body. Roman was able to take Rita to the far tree line and hold her against the fence to keep her out of trouble. It was our sweet Gemma who took the brunt of the two stallions. So you guys already know all three of those stories.
Come on, baby.
Today, I made a phone call to a horse rescue who was willing to take both of the stallions. I got help, and I had both stallions loaded. I contacted my neighbor, and I told him exactly what we were going to do. I guess I did not give him an option, and I'm also guessing that the pride in that gentleman sent him over here in quite the rage. I offered him $1,000 to allow me to take these horses off of his hands, get them to somewhere that are going to be loved, fed, watered properly. But I'm going to stick with the fact that the pride in that man would not allow him to move those horses along. They were already loaded. I had a horse in each trailer, and he demanded that I unload his horses immediately. I says, I need you to give me 30 minutes. I want to call animal control and find out what my options are. And he insisted that I let his horses out of my trailers immediately. He walked over to open the trailers himself. He was... Got it. Come on, bud. All right, there's one. I have been given permission. The last time law enforcement was here, I was given permission to use lethal force. I said, sir, I don't want to shoot your horses, but I love my horses enough to where I have to defend them. I says, take my $1,000 as a kind gesture. I says, let's remain neighbors. Let's remain friends. I says, take my money and let's just shake hands and be done with this. Let the horses, by this afternoon, will be back in a better place. He refused, still demanding that his horses be returned. And so we did that. We backed the trucks up and we released both horses back into his pastures. Or as of right now, I don't know where they're at. I don't want to fight with my neighbor. I don't want to have beef. I don't want to have issues. I don't want to have to worry that every time I'm not here, something horrible could happen to one of my cows, one of my calves. But this would be the first time in my lifetime that I'm unable to resolve an issue with the neighbor. And I don't know what to do. I made note of our conversation and I politely reminded my neighbor that I'm going to record our conversation because if I ever have to use it in court, then I would like it to be known that I'm trying to resolve this in a peaceful way. My neighbor was okay with me making the video, but refused to shake my hand, which is fine. He said we're going to remain neighbors. He goes, but we don't have to be friends. And that broke me. It really did. It broke me. Because I'm not the one looking for trouble here. And I don't think he is. But I remind him, I says, Bud, I says, you don't get it. They're going to be back. They're going to come back. And they will. So, like I said when I started the video, I've always been able to forgive and forget issues and things that I've had with neighbors, family members, and co-workers, and I don't have any enemies. But, like I also said, there's plenty of folks who don't like me. And so I'm afraid that, well, I don't know. What would you do? What would you do? But please keep in mind a couple of things. I don't live here 24 hours a day. I'm not able to watch my animals every minute of every day. We don't have camera access to all nooks and crannies of the 50 acres. So you have to be able to trust and hope that your neighbors will take care of your animals. And I feel like we've done a really good job at taking care of his when they've come across the fence. I would hate it, and I would hate myself if for some reason at some point Tex finds his way over, or one of our yearlings make their way over for some reason. Something really bad happened to one of those cows because of the fact that he and I are not friends. So I was really hoping to shake his hand and let him know that I just don't know what else to do. And so I'm asking you, what would you do? What would you do? Is there a way that we can remain friends, even if it's just neighborly friends, where we have a mutual respect for each other? Because as of right now, it's my animals who are taking the beating. And then I'll just remind you of one thing. The times that my animals did make their way through the fence over to his side, I contacted him to let him know. And our agreement was to allow the bull to stay so that he doesn't come back and tear up all of the fences. Allow him to stay. Let the cows get bred. I would never allow my bulls over there without his knowledge of it. So, and I reminded him of that just now. I reminded him of that. I says, you know what? It was different when my animals went to your place. I told you about it and we knew what was happening and why they were over there. I said, but that's not the way it is over here. Your animals are breaking in and they're going to get somebody hurt. And I said, if it was the other way around and my animals were getting someone on your side hurt or getting one of you hurt or one of your children hurt, I says, I would move the bull. I would move the bull along. I don't know what to do. I could use some advice. Thank y'all for watching.